Good morning, everybody, and I hope you're keeping well. Today I'm taking my readings from Galatians chapter 5, and it's verses 24 and 25. Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the sinful nature with all its passions and desires, and since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. I wonder if you, like me, have wondered why you are in the place you are and at this point of time in your life. Are you where you are because you asked God to show you where he wanted you to be? Or are you where you are because it's your choice to be there? Or have you just never considered it was anything to do with God because you never consulted him? As I look back in my life, I can see that God has been with me for as long as I can remember. I also give thanks to God that when there have been times when I've strayed, he's always been there to bring me back to him. I've always gone to my local church, wherever it's been, since I was a child. And in my teens, I joined the Methodist Youth Fellowship in the next village, and we used to meet in the Methodist manse every Sunday night, where we used to sing and discuss the faith. Incidentally, I met the man I was to marry in that group. It was in that group I decided to give my life to Jesus. Soon after I'd done this, I became part of a mission band, a training ground for young people to become preachers or ministers, and many of us did. The first time I ever stood up in the pulpit was to give my testimony. All afternoon I'd worked on it, but when I stood up to give it, I'd left my notes behind. I can still remember that feeling of panic and nausea as it swept over me. Everyone was waiting. So I opened my mouth, not sure what would emerge. But it was amazing. I was just given the words to say, without a stutter or any hesitation. I knew immediately that if God calls me to speak for him, he gives us the words to say, and I've proved this time and time again throughout my life. I soon became aware, though, that I really should train to become a preacher, but put it off for almost 15 years. And then I heard the words, "To whom much has been given, much will be required." And I wriggled, and I squirmed, and then I gave in. 45 years on, I'm still preaching. Do you know, it's even longer than I was a school teacher. Sharing with others about Jesus and his constant love and care as he helps us through challenges of life has become as normal to me as breathing out and breathing in. In fact, I've never been alone facing the challenges and difficulties throughout life, as I've known the presence of Jesus with me constantly. I've been very blessed. If I chose not to involve Jesus, then I did know the pain that separation, and it never lasted long, believe you me. In the vicarage study, we used to have a poster saying, "God, you're far away from me," and underneath these words said, "Guess who's moved?" Well, it was never God, just me trying to be independent. What are the circumstances that cause us so easily to drift away from God? It can happen so easily and slowly without us realising. My word, the evil one is so subtle and attractive, we don't realise it's happening until it's almost too late. We're too tired or busy to read our Bible. Similar reasons cause us not to say our prayers. A few days can then become months and even years. We have moved house and don't bother to find out where our local church is. And anyway, the times of services don't fit in with our busy lives. We find, if we go, that we don't fit in. As the hymns or songs have changed, people aren't friendly. Do we give them a chance? The prayers are all wrong anyway, not what they used to be, and we're shocked. I wonder how many different types of TV or phone you've had in your lives through the years. Things change our lives, you know. And we shouldn't be shocked that the church has moved with the times and things change there as well. We sometimes have become disconnected with God and you just don't understand how it's happened. For too long we've been managing quite well without God playing an important role in our lives, and we have by default neglected God. But it's when tragedy suddenly comes along and our foundations are shaken that we go one of two ways. We blame God or we fly to God for help. We can blame God, and we hear people say all the time, "Why has God allowed this happen?" Sometimes it's our bodies that have worn out or have started producing abnormal cells. This happens. It's part of living on this earth. It is not a perfect world. Sometimes it's the fault of how humankind has abused the world. But one thing is certain. God came into this world as Jesus, who understands all the suffering there is in it. He longs to get alongside, to turn tragedy into a new but better way, if only we would let him, to help us sail through it as on wings of eagles. We have to ask God into our lives, though, to help us. You see, he can turn our loss into a new purpose and challenge. Yes, we can be alone. It's hard at first, but then we can do new things because we're free to work for God. There is no one or no thing to stop us. If God takes something or someone away, he always more than compensates. It's never too late to let God rule in us. Then we shall once again find that peace and joy we'd forgotten existed. So keep step with the Spirit. Catch up with him. He will guide you into a new and exciting world. Amen. Well, may God bless you all this week, and may he keep you safe. See you all next week. Bye-bye and God bless.